Mexican sandwiches, tortas. I'm going to show you how to make a version of the most classic one. The one that when you say torta to people, they'll say Torta de Milanesa, which is usually meat that has been pounded thin, three-step breaded and fried. It's a delicious torta, probably one of my favorite, but I'm going to show you how to make that with eggplant. Now, don't go away because you're going to love this and it's going to add more vegetables back into your diet. Okay, let's talk about what the bun for a classic Mexican torta looks like. It looks like this. This is a telera. Sometimes you'll see bolillos that look more like French rolls being used for it, but it's the one with the 3 humps in it. This is a telera. I'm going to split it in half and just put it into the oven to warm so that I can get a little crispy on the outside, because when I eat sandwiches, I'll tell you, my only sandwich is going to be a hot sandwich. So I'm always heating up the bread or the bun and putting hot fillings in it. And to tell you the truth, most of the Mexican tortas are just that. So I got the oven on about 300 degrees here just to warm and crisp it. Now let's talk about eggplant. For this particular one, you're going to want globe eggplant, the large eggplant. Yes, you could make it with the skinnier Asian eggplant, but it's not as easy to work with for this particular preparation. And the first thing that you would do is to cut the end of it off like that. And we'll just get rid of that part of it. And I want to cut off about a ½ inch from one side, ½ inch from the other side. Something like that. Actually, I think I'm going to take just a little bit more off of that. You'll see why in a second, but this one's good. This could be used for a stir fry. So you might want to save that. And then I want about ½ inch thick pieces here. So 4 out of a globe eggplant. This would make 4 tortas. I'm just going to work through making of 1. Now, here's the next step with these slices of eggplant. Some people find eggplant slightly bitter. And if you're one of those people, then heavily salt it here on both sides, actually, and let it sit for 20 minutes or so, and then dab it with paper towels. I don't typically find that does a lot to change the flavor to make it sweeter for my palate, but you can do that part of it. I'm just going to go right ahead with the making of this. So salted or not salted, but it has to be dry. So if you salt it, that's going to draw out some of the juices. So you're going to want to pat it dry with paper towels. Okay, next thing that we're going to do, but we're going to pretend that this is salted a little bit, or not pretend, we're going to salt it a little bit on both sides, even though we're not going to let it sit for the 20 minutes. And then we set up 3 deep plates for the 3-step breading. So 3-step breading, wherever you are in the world, is always the same preparation. You want to put some flour on it, then you want to dredge it through egg, and then you want to put it into some kind of crumbs. I'm using panko crumbs, and we'll talk more about that in a second. The seasoning for the breading usually is in the egg mixture. So I will put a couple of eggs here in this plate. And then I'm going to add salt to those and use a fork to whisk them together. Now you want to salt this pretty highly because, as I said, this is all of the seasonings for the breading. And you'll want to make this mixture as smooth as you can make it. Like when we're working in the restaurant, we'll oftentimes put this into the blender and blend it. I'm not making that much of it here, so just beating it with a fork will be easy enough. But you want it to be pretty liquidy because this is the liquid in your 3-step breading. All right, so I think that's good. We'll take this 1 piece of eggplant now, and we want to put it into the flour. This allows for us to then dampen the flour with the egg mixture, like that. Put that in there, flip it over. A couple of eggs will give you enough for this whole eggplant here. This is the same thing if you're going to do it with pounded chicken for making chicken Milanesa, or if you're going to do meat. Usually it would be pork in Mexico, but it could also be beef. like the cube steaks are oftentimes done this way, Milanesa style, which by the way refers to Milan in Italy, because I guess that this process was developed there, but all over the world they call this Milanesa style. Okay, so the panko crumbs, you got to come in and look at these panko crumbs because they're very distinctive. So this is a Japanese style breadcrumb, and they're kind of angular, and they work super, super well for a crispy coating. Okay, now while that's just sitting there, we'll just let that sit there. Let's talk about the pan that we're going to fry it in. If you're going to do 4 of these, you got to have something that will hold 4 of them. So that would definitely be a large skillet. Now I could tell you a measured amount of oil, but what's more important for me to teach you here is how deep the oil has to be, because depending on your size of pan, you're going to want to get it about 1/8 of an inch deep so that it can fry and be really nice. Now I had this pan on heating already, so it's going to get hot really quickly. I'm going to turn the temperature up. It was on a low temperature. I'm going to turn the temperature up, and we're going to, when it gets hot enough, you know what I usually test it with is a few of the breadcrumbs. They're not quite sizzling fast right now, but within a few seconds, they're going to get hot like that. And we'll be able to put this in there and then just cook it, flipping it once until it's golden brown. So I call this a golden eggplant torta. You could call it an eggplant Milanesa torta if you wanted to. So basically, whether you're going to do meat in classic Milanesa style, the cubed steak or the pounded chicken breast, or the eggplant, it's all the same. Okay, this is going to go in there now. I'm shaking off the excess the excess breadcrumbs and lay it in there. It should sizzle very nicely. These will take several minutes per side. I'm going to guess that this will be done in about 3 minutes per side, flipping it halfway through to show that it's a beautiful golden color. And I will meet you back when this is ready. Okay, let's see what this guy looks like here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. You could see the jagged edges of the panko, which makes it extra crispy. If you don't have access to panko breadcrumbs, which are available in lots of the grocery stores now, they used to not be because you had to import them from Japan, but now you can find them many places. But you could use any kind of coarse breadcrumbs. If you have stale bread, especially like sourdough, just pulse it like in a food processor or a blender until it's ground up, and that will work for you. Of course, you can buy regular breadcrumbs, but they tend to be really fine. Okay, so the bread should be ready now. It's kind of gotten a little crispy edge. This is, of course, the classic Mexican one, but you don't have to use the telera or the bolillo. You could just use any kind of like a French roll for this kind of a preparation. Our next step here for this one, and this is not common in most Milanesa tortas, is I'm going to put some goat cheese on the bottom piece of it here. You could use cream cheese for this. You could smear some mayonnaise on this. That would be delicious as well. Tortas should be thought of as informal food that uses what you happen to have on hand. I love fresh goat cheese, so that's what I'm smearing on the bottom of this guy here. And then we'll lay the golden eggplant on top of that. Look at that. Doesn't that look great? And this is where this gorgeous chipotle salsa will come in. Spoon as much or as little of that as you like. I like to serve it with some extra on the side. We'll put that there. And then I've got, I like to do something fresh on here. Since this is sort of a modern torta, I'm using that little baby arugula that you can find in lots of grocery stores these days. And then a sprinkling of Mexican añejo cheese, cotija style cheese, which basically could be represented here by a little Parmesan. Look at that gorgeous thing. This is really, really delicious. Serve it up like that, and you've got an amazing vegetable feast in front of you. I hope you'll try it.